This is the Poddy with Serene
and Pearl.
Get it right, Poddy.
What's up, world? We're us and you're you. Let's freaking do this. What's up, gals?
That doesn't make me deep breathe like we talked about last week.
You okay?
Us, we're we. Today I want to talk about, since we're we, I want to talk about self-care.
Yeah, we'll talk about how we've had all the time in the world to work this one up.
Zero.
I wanted to really work this one up.
I know, you had brought this subject to me a while ago and I'm like, Serene, let's really make that one where we bring a lot of research and all of that. Okay, so we have zero of that, so it's just going to be a discussion.
If you listened to last week and you heard how busy we are.
Yeah.
We just haven't had a chance to work up podcasts. So, but we'll just put it out there and we'll just vamp on it.
My takeaway from last week was get a bidet, not you.
Oh, yeah. No, it wasn't mine, Danny, but get my husband a bidet, yes.
I promise you, Charlie is going to personally thank me.
He might.
If you
he
get him
probably
a bidet.
Will.
Yeah. Get a heated one. You got the budget. You go on Princess.
Yeah. So this whole self-care topic,
we didn't even
Serene,
introduce
it's going to be so good. I said I want to talk about self-care. I feel like it's talked about a lot, especially amongst women. Today I just want to talk about what is self-care? Do we believe in it or not? And if we do, what is self-care versus what is self-harm?
Yeah.
The reason I started thinking about self-care was it kind of, to me, I feel like I've always taken time for self-care and the fact that I want to honor my body healthfully. And so I'll take self-care, meaning I'll take some time, not heaps of time, but just for like good, meal prep, meal cooking, and I would take some time for exercise. And I thought that was self-care. And a woman that didn't take time for that, I would think, hey, make some time for self-care.
Right, but their self-care might have been the children are all asleep.
Yeah.
It's time to have some self-care and get the ice cream out.
Yeah. So
and I should be asleep, but I'm going to self-care and stay up till midnight, watching something and eating ice cream alone.
Yeah, so there's all different forms of self-care. And I'm not saying mine was right because I'm now looking back, I'm saying that was a form of self-care, but really it wasn't quite enough. I've come into a new thoughts about that. And then sometimes self-care can be self-harm. So what?
And I actually get grossed out at the term, but Pearl actually told me, Pearl, you're one of the biggest self-care women I know. So it grosses me out, the subject. It reminds me of the magazine Self,
Yeah.
I think I don't want to be a person who, I want to be a person who gives to other people, and I want to be, I aim for that scripture that says, those who lose their lives will gain it, right? So I want to be self-sacrificial. And so the self-care term makes me want to run. But so I just maybe want to give it a different term for me. Because the things I do to self-care, I think I'm doing for other people too. Like I want to take time for my health, but I think that is honoring my family and my husband.
Yeah, but you see, I think you have a hang up on it, honestly, because I was saying, we were talking about this months ago, and this is all going to come out today, talking about self-care. And Serene, you were saying, we've been talking about this for a while. What is self-care? I don't like the term. I hate it. I don't want to be obsessed with myself. Especially as a mother, I want to live self-sacrificially. And I said to Serene, you, of all people I know, you are ferocious about your self-care. And she's like, what? And I'm like, you organize your whole life around your spa time of exercise. No matter what happens, you are making that healthy meal. I said, don't you think that's self-care?
Sometimes it's like 5:30 in the morning because it's the only time to fit it in, but I will fit it in.
You will. And you will buy your healthy things. You will buy that latest thing. No matter how broke you are, you'll be saving your pennies. You will get that special whey protein. You will get that collagen. You will your healthy supplements for Serene. You will, and you always have. So I tried to remind you that you do prioritize Serene.
I do.
Even though you're a giver and you lay your life down for others. And the problem is for women is there's kind of two extremes, right? So there's those who mothers and wives at home, or just people, women in general, that always put themselves last. Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
Yeah, but it's like the airplane where, I always never understood that, but now I kind of do, where they're like telling all the mothers or the parents, stick your oxygen on your face first before helping your baby. And it annoyed me. I'm like, I'm going to be helping my baby first. I'm not having my baby one breath without oxygen without me. But realizing, the psyche behind it is you won't be around to put on their mask.
Exactly.
And if they keep taking theirs off and you're like out to it because you've totally blacked out, there ain't no one helping your baby.
My brother
right?
and I, we have from that concept, we have a phrase we use whenever we're neglecting our children to just do something for ourselves. I'm like, what are you doing, Mike? And he's like, oh, I'm out here doing this. And I'm like, oh, where are your kids? He's like, I got to put my mask on.
Okay, so that's a point, right?
But the point is I feel like taking care of my health, that's the self-care that I really like.
You thought that was vindicated.
I feel like it's vindicated because I feel like it's like I'm honoring my husband, because I feel like, like Esther in the Bible, she took time to beautify herself, form, face, in every way for the king. Like, I consider it something that I like to do to honor my husband. Like, I want to honor him with that. And it sounds so weird, but in my head, I actually do it for him more than I do it for me. Even though he doesn't care. He wouldn't care 40 pounds up, 40 pounds down. He loves me, but I still do it for him.
Yeah.
But for my children too, I want to be 85 and I want to be able to go play soccer and sprint up a hill, and like I
your
want
mom.
that for my husband.
Your mom was out there winning races.
Yeah.
You remember that?
Yeah.
That
We went to
glorious 4th of July.
Yeah, we went to
Mom.
Scotland and she just climbed the Devil's Staircase is what it was.
Really?
It was called. It was hours and hours and hours straight uphill in the Highlands. There was 20-year-olds parked out halfway that couldn't make it.
I remember on the 4th of July, everybody had a big race on the hilltop. And there must have been 100 people here. And she pulled her dress from her ankles
She tucked it in her undies.
up to like her underwear.
Mom gets serious when she's in competition.
And just ran. And I
Yeah.
was just like, she's got an unfair advantage with that speed suit.
Yeah. I've seen Mum do that.
Do you see her? She won
She
the race.
doesn't show her undies. She just tucks them in, and her dress comes way
then
up
the
here.
dress-
And she
High
just
thigh.
runs.
High thigh.
High thigh, yeah.
But it felt so unlike the Nancy I
Yeah.
thought I knew.
No,
Yeah.
she's got that side. She's a fiery redhead.
Yes.
So I've always been into the same as you, Serene. Is taking self-care for our health, because that's what we're all about. Then I read the book.
Oh, I love that book,
okay,
Empowered Wife.
Okay, yeah, The Empowered Wife. Okay,
The Empowered Wife.
The Empowered Wife. It's really good.
Sounds
Listen, don't hate
intimidating.
us if you hate it.
There are a few things that I don't vibe with. Just a few things.
who cares?
But guess what? I love the book.
I
And I've
think
given it to
wives-
so many friends. But you don't have to like ingest everything you read.
I think wives ought to be empowered.
Yes, and it's talking about being empowered by staying on your own page and stop treating your husband like he's
his-
your child. But it's not like that. She's actually a feminist, but in a just a
Oh, it's written
sound
by a
way.
feminist.
She in a sound way, not in the way you're thinking of. Anyway, the book's incredible. If you want a stronger, better marriage, I would say read the book.
Oh,
However,
it's
she talks
amazing.
about self-care. Now,
It's her first step in
I
making a
read
good
this
marriage. And it took me by surprise at first. I'm like, well, I'm not going to do that. I get her point.
yeah. So
But
her
I have a but
first
to it.
point. The first thing she has you doing, and I thought it was stupid too. I'm like, put it at
But
the
we
end.
want to have her on this podcast. That's
Yeah.
how much we love her.
Okay,
And
but she
awesome.
says self-care is first. Why? Because if you're not doing self-care, you're on your husband's page. You are having him. He needs to be your happiness. He needs to be doing everything right so you can be happy.
You're making him take care of your happiness.
Make yourself happy. Do the things you need to do. She keeps talking about how important it is. So
Basically, and I love this. She's like, men are attracted to happiness.
yes,
And when he was
Yeah.
dating you, you were happy. But now oftentimes a husband will come home to a woman who, as soon as he walks in the door, she's unloading her sighing and her discontentment and how hard it's been. And, she hasn't had a chance to do blah, 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 and the moaning and complaining and how that's very unattractive. No matter
Yeah.
how put together
I
she's
can
made herself.
confirm that. My wife and I had this discussion like a week ago. I just remember thinking like, I think one of the reasons, like I never bother her with typically like anything she needs to change or be or do.
No.
And I never thought about it. I've just never been really frustrated with her. And I don't know if it's right or wrong. It felt
Men are usually not, though. They're so beautiful that way. But women are the...
like I don't need her to do or be or do anything or say things right to me or be something right or weigh a certain amount.
You wouldn't care.
It's so irrelevant. Like what I'm
But
thinking
do you
about.
want to be her hero?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd totally want to be. So I want to be like, constantly praised. In fact, I told her, she was griping about something with me, and I was like, I need 99 praises to one gripe.
Yes.
That's how bad I am.
No, but instead of these praises, you see, the woman is just like, she's not happy because she's waiting for him to be her happiness. So she has no room for praising. Is
this a common thing with women?
I don't know.
Yeah,
Do you feel tempted to need Sam to do and say and be? Come on now.
Definitely.
Come on, the camera's on.
I definitely am a woman in those areas.
I am
Okay.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
But
Pearl?
doesn't mean I've tried to swallow it my
1000%.
whole life, because being the youngest, you learn too. You
1000%.
To get the attention.
No, you learn
you
from
do.
the other. If you're the youngest in a family, in a situation, you watch all the others and
You're
you
the
kind
youngest?
of learn.
Make mistakes.
Yeah,
She's
you
the-
Do you
see what that does.
do you fuss
and
like
you-
a baby to Sam?
No. I'm just saying I'm bad.
okay if
I'm,
you do.
I'm terrible, but I'm just saying I've also learned from marriages that have come before me that it hasn't helped. And so I have learned early that it wasn't a fantastic thing, and I've tried
But
to.
I need to get back to this.
I've always
Curb it.
felt so sorry. I just have always felt like you both really have, like, surprisingly, because when you are on the internet, you do see a lot of a certain type of message coming from women. This, like when you said empowerment, I was like, what do you mean? Because that
Empowerment to change what's on your page. Work on yourself instead of working on your husband.
see that to
That's what
me
it
is
is.
so
Yeah.
powerful.
Yeah.
Um,
And there-
But in return, you actually feel
More
more loved, more protected, more adored, more cherished, more everything, and things come back to the way they were with the yin and the yang. I mean, this is not a Christian author telling women to be doormats and submit. Oh my goodness. But a lot of Christian women, have read her book, and it doesn't oppose anything scripturally. It's so good.
I love her whole purpose. She says it's huge. I mean, she's just gone out there and made the statement to end global divorce.
that's
That's
awesome.
her mission.
She
statement.
went to her marriage was on the rocks, and she went to all this counseling and got worse and
Wow.
worse and worse and worse. And she's like, counseling, there's no respectful way of going to a stranger and telling all the things wrong about your husband, or him telling all the things wrong about your wife. How is that going to
She
help?
actually had a book called Kill All the Marriage Counselors, and it was hilarious, but it was kind of humorous. Okay, but I do want to
do
say
like
back
this
to that, because
person.
we'll interview her sometime. Back
Yes.
to the self-care part.
Yes.
I'm like, and you're like, why the heck is she doing that first? That doesn't fix anything.
Yeah, I'm like, well, I'm just going to skip that and I'll move on.
Yes. But then she talks about how start practically doing it. Start making yourself happy. Take the time for that. If you're coming home from work,
And as a Christian, I feel like that
Yeah.
takes time too to work on your relationship with God, because I
Yeah.
think that's what ultimately fills us. Yeah.
do the things that absolutely, like you do. My husband is a Christian, but he doesn't go to church. But it's by self-care. Self-care is me going to church. too.
Right.
I need that. I am filled by that. It's part of my self-care. And that sounds, I go to church to worship God, but it's for me too. Getting with people, singing, hearing the word. That is self-care for me.
Yeah, me too.
But when I was reading the book, we're in this busy season, and my neck was seized up. I have a hip and shoulder that's out of line, and I had no time for chiropractic appointments. I'm like, no, I'm going to suffer, and I'm going to be a martyr, right? Until this book's done, I will give myself to trim healthy, run my body down, bury it into the ground. I don't care. I won't take a minute for myself, And I would still take time for exercise and my healthy meals, just the very, very essence. I have not read a fiction book.
Yeah.
Only books.
Or I haven't read a
pertaining-
fiction book for life, because we have to research.
I have not allowed myself to do happy things more than about 10 minutes, because got to give myself to this
Yes.
until it's done. The whole
Me
company is
too.
relying
Yeah.
on us.
You're not serious unless
No.
you're.
I-
laying
Yeah.
it
Do you know,
down.
I brought
Yeah.
face masks and hair masks about 6 years ago. They're all out of date.
Yeah.
No time for that.
We brought all our DIY face stuff, spent hundreds of dollars on all the stuff I was going to do. Haven't had time. Didn't do it. Didn't take the
Yeah.
time. So then I thought to myself, oh man, Pearl, this whole martyr thing.
But did Charlie get the best of you though?
No, he didn't get the best of me. My whole body, I was walking around like this, because I haven't gone to a chiropractic appointment, in pain,
More easily
couldn't
stressed.
sleep, waking up in, on that.
Were you more snappy to him? Like, not that you're a snappy person, but was it harder to be the sweetest,
Yeah,
most
I was
delightful
just kind of, when
person?
you're in pain, you're kind of miserable anyway.
Right.
And so she was like, you have to do things for yourself. Stop putting yourself last. Stop
And her
it.
point is, because then you're a happy person for your husband and children.
Yeah.
Then your house is a happy place. Your marriage is thriving because you're serving from a full well instead of like this empty
And she's like,
place that's because you're so miserable, everybody else has to be perfect to make you happy.
and she's like, there will never be time for them. Put them in first. So I went to make these chiropractic appointments, and I'm just penciling in little things for me, even if it's like, taking 5 minutes to longer on the phone with my daughter, rather than thinking, no, I have to go, Pearl, you always have 5 minutes, sending her this joke, looking at a funny video, like doing these. They don't have to be long things, just little things for my own self-happiness and my own self-care. And you know what? Jolly Laura Dole, she's that name, that author. She's right.
She is.
She's right. Self-care is so important for us women.
For me, taking a 45-minute walk and listening to a podcast is so self-care for me.
It is.
I come back to my family and I'm having a good evening.
Yeah. And so what are the fundamentals of self-care? I would say, eating healthy and doing movement is part of it. But if you hate that right now, is that self-care or not?
No,
I want to talk about it.
I think it's self-care, but we need to have it as a different word. It's not happy care.
Well, you feel happiness afterwards.
Yes, you do.
And it makes your life
No,
happier
it's
because your
self-care
blood
for
sugar
me.
stabilizes.
It's self-care for me, but
Yeah.
but I'm saying if it's not something that people enjoy, I enjoy the whole process. Even if it's
Yeah.
misery, I enjoy it.
Yeah.
But it's my whole psyche's about enjoying it. But if somebody's not there,
It's
then
self-honoring.
It's self-honoring, and it is self-care.
It is.
But I think for me, you see, what I think she's talking about, I would like to term like making a happy culture inside of yourself. I mean, it's different. It's
Yeah.
just, it's a little different.
There are many forms of self-care. So that's what I wanted to discuss today. Is self-care eating a donut every Saturday because that's the way you feel relaxed and that's your self-care and that's your self-pleasure?
No, I think I'd draw the line. about
Or
that.
is that doing it just a couple of times a year because you're allowed to and you want to bless myself, but is it self-harm when it's every week?
I think if it's every year, I say 4 times a year. That's
Yeah.
vitamin P, and that's beautiful. And I say do it if that's what really blesses you. But every Saturday is not blessing you.
Yeah, every Saturday. Then it goes from, I think, self-care to self-harm. If we're doing that thing at night where, okay, here's my self-care and this is the time when I get out the Haagen-Dazs. Is that really self-care or is it self-harm? We can have that same tradition. Yes, let's do something at night.
Well, it's like smoking.
Yeah.
People think, well, that could be self-care because it's when I finally relax.
Yeah.
Well, no, it's self-harm.
Yeah, so I think we have to differentiate what is self-care and what's not. Mm-hmm. And if it's a repetitive thing in your life that is frequent, but if it's harming your blood sugar, your hormones, your brain, and your body, let's not call it what it's not. It's not self-care.
And I think this goes along with the whole Poddy. Like last week, you were talking about slow down to breathe. Slow your breathing down. And I feel like this self-care that we're talking about is almost another form of slow down. Slow down to fill yourself up, not in a new age, like serving yourself kind of way, but in a way that means when you take time out of your day to delight in life, when you take time out to do things that make you happy, you will be that happy, joyful person that your family will remember, instead of like, well, she's a bit of a nag and, I love her out of duty, but...
And I love that we do assign them as self-care moments, because it psychologically says to us, when I take that walk and I just, by myself, or if you're a young mum, you're going to, take the stroll, or maybe your husband's going to watch the children, but you all know that this is mum's self-care time, right? And when I tell my husband all the time, I'm going on my mental health walk. I mean, literally, I come back happier. I come back less stressed. I think then it's assigned to your small universe here on this planet that this self-care is going to make me a happier person so I can be kinder, function better. I know I'm doing it. And when I come back, I will be better.
And I feel like we do need to get into the heads. Like I had to get into my head. Maybe we need to help you in your headspace too. Because I feel like there's pride in, oh, I don't have time for that.
That was me. I had pride in being a martyr for Trim Healthy.
Yeah. There is a pride in that, all I do is serve. There is a pride in that.
Yeah.
And maybe it's false pride and maybe it's going to lead to a fall. A big fall.
Self-care, I didn't realize it. Sometimes it's often things I don't want to do. Like I really put off building this door for my daughter's bedroom because she has a curtain right now.
Yeah.
And that's a boundary issue with siblings.
Yeah.
I mean, they're just going in, taking makeup, you know, and
Yeah.
she's just like, why do I have this room? Why are we in this house? Who am I? And so I'm building her this door and I just never get around to it because it just takes time. But when I go out and start working on this door, I go into my happy place.
Yeah.
And it's super nice.
So
it's
what if you
creative.
called it self-care? What if you assigned it that, Danny?
Yeah. It's just getting started. As soon as I
know.
get started,
Yeah.
I can't be stopped. I am in this, I'm in the groove. I know what to do next. I have mastered. I mean, woodworking's something I'm really good at. I used to do it professionally, but so that being able to do something and it work and succeed is super fulfilling for me because I feel like so much of us live in a world where it's not succeeding today or we're grinding through something. We're trying to pull something off and it's currently not happening. Like anytime we can do something where you can get like a small victory over, like I can go out in my garage, I could build something and I will have completed some part of it. And I will be like that. You get, anytime you're doing this, you know, where you did a thing, to me, that helps me go back to a job where, you know, it may be a month before a project is complete.
Yeah.
That can be stressful. Like if you don't get to complete projects, that's its own stress.
It's not very
This book
true.
that's been looming
Oh,
over
writing
our
a book,
heads.
you want to go into need a therapist. That was one of the most difficult things I ever did was write that book.
But
And
you
it's
know,
like this big.
yeah.
And y'all's are like this big.
Yeah.
Shows the
You know,
words women and men
as she
use.
was she kept talking about her self-care. Her biggest self-care is taking time for her volleyball.
Yeah.
And that was so interesting, right? She's like, no, volleyball makes me, it has, you know, the double benefit of keeping me fit. But I like to win games. I like to be competitive. And she's like, and I need to do this. And my husband knows I'm happier and kinder and better when I get to do volleyball.
She goes, I'm a better wife. I'm nicer to my husband. And I don't want him to perfect himself to fill me up so much.
And so the thing about, you know, especially some of us Christian women can think, oh, but we're very sacrificial women, right? But is giving up volleyball really going to make you a better wife or mother when really maybe you'd be a better wife or mother getting time to do it?
Right.
And there are seasons, of course,
Because I've
in
met
life.
a lot of beautiful Christian women who are self-sacrificial, wise, sweet. Like they are the most amazing. They're the cream of the crop, but they aren't very joyful. I've met really joyful ones too, extremely joyful. But I've met some that maybe need some more self-care.
You know what actually super self-care is for me? Helping my kids do something. Remember where I was talking about like a small achievement feels so good. You can really like help your kids every day do some little, because for them, there's like this super insurmountable thing that for you is like, you can knock it out in a couple minutes. And for them, they're like, Dad helped me. Like that feels amazing to me.
Have you seen, talking about children, isn't it innate in children to do self-care? It is. They love to do things that they love.
They do.
They love play as self-care.
Yeah.
You know, and they do. I look at my
Yeah.
teenagers who are some of the happiest people in the world. I mean, my toddlers,
Yeah.
it goes without, they're not even toddlers. They're young children. Like they're older than toddlers, but I keep them in the box.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
anyway, it goes without saying that they're happy. They're just in their imaginative
play
world.
is huge, right?
Right. But my teenagers, they know how to bless themselves.
Yeah.
Like with things that they enjoy doing.
Yeah.
They need responsibility, and I agree. But the fact is that we can take pointers from them.
I know.
Yeah, and is it selfish when you see your kids playing with their favorite thing? Are you just like, oh, there they go again, being selfish? You're like, man, I wish I could do that.
Yeah.
You know, we every Thanksgiving we have something called the Turkey Bowl, where a bunch of guys get together and play football.
Yeah.
It's like the time of the year for me. And I'm just like, why don't I do this every weekend?
But
It's
you
just
have
so
to make
fun.
time for it. And this is what Laura Dole was saying. You have to literally make time for it or it won't
Like
happen.
it's the most
Schedule it.
in our
important
adult
thing.
lives. And it's
Yeah.
so funny because I've been listening to some of her podcasts. It's great. What is it called? The Empowered Woman podcast. And she always interviews a woman that, you know, has had a marriage change from where it was like totally undone and they were on the brink of a divorce and now, you know, really good, strong marriage. They always say what Serene and I were saying. And Laura, they were like, I thought your self-care was nuts. I was like, put that on the shelf. I don't believe in that one. And I was the worst. I would never take time for myself. It's a theme. They were like, I just wouldn't take time for myself. I don't have time for that. You know, I had to do this and accomplish this. And they're like, Laura, but when I started self-care, you were right. You were right. It changed everything.
They became a princess in their nature
Yeah.
instead of the martyr Cinderella scrubbing the floor.
Yeah.
Your cup
Yes.
has to runneth over.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean that you become irresponsible. It just means you take time so that you're not that miserable person who's just sighing. And I've been that. I've been that person who it's like, you know, oh, I'll have to do that. And I'll have to do that. And I'll have to do that.
Negasaurus
let
Rex.
me. No, let me. You know? But, and so I think it's kind of huge. And I don't think it's selfish. There is a place.
Yes, it can
with
definitely move
anything
over
that
to
you can get
selfishness.
to an extreme and it's like, hold on, me first. I'm never going to serve anybody else. But that's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about another thing because most of us, I think as women, as mothers, even if you're not a mother, wives, just people in this society, I don't think we take enough time for this.
And if you're, you know, I reckon I took more time when I had lots of little children all around me. So if you're listening and you've got lots of children, you're like, well, I don't ever time by myself. It doesn't necessarily have to be by yourself.
No, it doesn't
Like
have to
I
be.
remember just doing things with the children. Our lives were way more free back then.
You and I, we just went to each other's house.
We sat and just had coffee and just watched them be cray
Talked.
cray. And
Do you know that time with girlfriends, with women, is so important for
It's
self-care?
self-care, yes.
It is with our own species.
That's why my relationship with you has made me very happy.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
I was thinking the other day, about what would happen if you died.
Oh.
And I was like,
I was too.
oh my goodness, Lord help me. I don't know what I'd do. Yes, we have our husbands and we're so close to our husbands. And I feel like we both have great marriages in our own way.
Great marriages.
But there's things I would never say to my husband that I would say to you.
And I'm so glad I can say it to you so
Yeah.
I don't say it to my husband.
Yes. And Danny's our other one that we say stuff to.
Yeah, I
Yes.
can be like more
The
of the
whipping
abuse
boy.
side. Though,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, you're there for our abuse. But I'm
But
telling
I'll
you.
say it to you in case I should say it to my husband,
Yeah.
and you'll tell me I shouldn't. You see?
Oh, will you run it by Pearl?
I always
we
run
run
things
everything
Pearl.
but if you don't have a sister, I mean, I think that close friends that are healthy,
Yeah.
and we've had other podcasts where we're like, hey, find a friend that is really good for you accountability wise,
Yeah.
but that is for you,
Yes.
not as that, not, you
And
know,
it's not
don't
so
be-
for
not-
you that they're not for your marriage too.
Yeah.
Because if you're a married person, you want to find somebody who's ultimately for your marriage. Because
Yeah.
otherwise, if they're just for you, they can be very like pro you and not seeing the other side of
That's
things.
what
if
you
just
and I
complain.
have both been for each other. You know,
Yes.
everyone has struggles in their marriage, and you know that's why I think having someone close in your life is so good.
Yeah.
To say to that woman that is about your marriage, not just about you, I'm hurt. Should I be hurt over that? And sometimes you've said to me, no, Pearl, you know his heart. He didn't mean it like that. And other times we're like, you know, you should really ask him again because that kind of is hurtful and find that out. But you know his heart, Pearl. And it's been really good rather than that jerk. He said that to you. What? Did you let him have it? We've never said that to each other because it's not helpful for our marriages.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've I've had some of my guy friends. They'll sort of like, you know, confide. A lot of them have not been married as long as I have, and so I think they see me as sort of like figured stuff out, which is the opposite. But
Yeah.
you know, I've been married longer, so, and they'll ask me things or even like vent on a struggle and like, what do you do here? And I don't find it helpful at all to kind of be like, yeah, isn't that annoying?
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
Doesn't help.
it's not helpful.
Yeah.
And it may make them feel a relief. And I'll even tell them like, hey, look, I understand that could be frustrating or
Yeah.
you know, whatever. But I think the most helpful thing is to kind of help them suck it up and bear with that person, even if it's just Nagasaurus Rex. You know what I'm saying? Just leaning in day in
And
and day out.
Negosaurus Rex should read Empowered Woman.
Yes,
But the husband can't tell her that.
Yeah,
if there is a
Cannot
book,
come from a husband.
if there is a book, and like I said, there was about 3 or 4 things I'm like, not for me. But if there is a book that I think is the most incredible encouragement to marriage outside of the Bible,
it's The
I
Empowered
would
Woman.
say it's The
man.
Empowered Woman.
Who's the author?
Laura Dole. She doesn't know us, I don't think.
No, we want to have her on this podcast.
We have a lot of cross-pollination, but
Everybody's heard of you gals. I was in L.A.
Yeah, right.
I got recognized
Did ya?
on a pier
that's awesome.
where they filmed. It was the pier with the globes where they filmed. I think where they filmed La La Land, a scene from La La Land. But they recognized. I think I told you about this. They recognized me and were like, "Wait," because I had hung out with this couple all night, like we
Yeah.
were just hanging out, and then. A friend of mine was like, yeah, he hosts a podcast and all this. And they're like, wait, is it the Trim Healthy podcast? And I was like, what? And they're like, my mom is such a fan. And I was like,
Yeah, but
your
didn't you
mom."
move into your street? You said your neighbor was like, what? He's
Oh,
like,
yeah, my neighbor's apostrophe S's mom is a big fan.
Yeah.
It's the moms.
But okay, so I wanted to talk now about what is self-care? What can we do? And then just say the things that are not.
And it could be crazy too. Like self-care for you was like fixing your daughter's door.
Yeah.
It felt good. It felt creative. It felt like getting a
Helping
project
my
done.
kids.
Maybe it's just you going outside and laying on the grass and just staring at the clouds and
Yeah.
finding
I
out what
think it's
shapes are-
taking that time to put us in a parasympathetic state.
Yes.
But taking time, penciling it in sometimes for these are the things. For joy,
yes.
for laughter,
Yes.
for relationships,
Yes.
for health.
For creativity.
Yep.
I brought a canvas and paints
Yeah.
about 5 years ago because I really love painting. And I've never had the chance.
For music, for art.
Sam brought me a sewing machine and a
Yeah.
serger. Brand new.
Never
never
used
taken
it?
out of the box.
Nice to buy, though, right?
Yeah.
I
Now-
love the buy process.
No, sure, we are very busy women, but our listeners are busy women too. Most of
They
them are
are.
listening to this
Everybody's
podcast
busy.
on their way to
Everybody
work,
is.
or they're not sitting down.
Some are, and that's
Maybe in the
okay.
nighttime they put us on the actual TV now, and
Or
and
they're
maybe-
nursing, and that's important.
This podcast could actually be self-care.
Like in the self-care.
Podcasts are self-care for me.
Yeah.
Oh, I
There's
see.
nary a shower I have without a podcast or
Yeah.
a walk.
Oh, I love
Because you
listening.
got a double duty.
I love listening
Yeah.
to comedy.
Yeah, comedy's so
But
important.
it's
Oh, I
not just
love
double
it.
duty, Pearl. It makes
Yeah.
my shower better. Hot shower, cold ice drink, podcast.
See, that's another thing that you've always done, because you always said to me, I don't believe in the self-care, and that's another thing I've always thought to myself. You will take your self-care for a hot shower.
Two showers, two hot showers.
two
a
hot
day.
showers a day.
And they're long.
So, sometimes
Yeah.
it was a stigma
10
about
minutes at
self-care you
least.
didn't like, but I
Yeah.
think that you're the biggest self-carer advocate there is.
Yeah.
I
Serene,
really do.
I will take 30-minute plus showers until the hot water is gone.
Yeah.
And I have a huge industrial
Yeah.
commercial
Wow.
hot water tank.
I don't
for
know
this
how to
room.
do
World's
that. I would
problems
feel
in the
too
shower.
self-care. I would
Oh.
feel selfish doing that.
Oh,
No, you
I'll
have
just-
to do it until you almost
I can't even
slump
breathe.
over with the exhaustion
Yeah,
of the
it's
heat.
exhausting.
Guys, you need to help me get through that then, because I'm not there yet.
I want to
Well,
crawl
I'm not self-care
out.
enough to take a bath. I haven't drawn a bath in years.
See, that's another thing I told myself this year, along with
Yeah,
my
I would love to do a
chiropractic
bath.
adjustments. More baths for you, Pearl, baths, and not to read your book. I know you love your research. You're going to read a novel.
Ooh, I love novels. George
Novels are
MacDonald
good.
novels.
No,
George
is
MacDonald's.
good. If you're able, even if it's a community pool or something, if
Water.
Community pool.
Oh,
I
just
can't do it. That's not self-care for me.
That's true. I was about
That's
to say.
germ
hatred.
care.
Well, I was trying to be humble. I didn't want to be like.
Oh,
guy
yeah,
with the
because you
pool.
got your own pool. Yeah.
Yeah,
no,
but
it's beautiful and I love it. And
You
if
need
I
a
had
pool,
a pool,
You know, this
maybe
Poddy
it's
has
just-
afforded you a very high life, Danny.
Ever since I started the show,
now you've got a
and
pool.
I became a tenionaire, I went out and got a pool. But you know what?
But
They
it is below ground.
it is,
that's
and they have
huge.
these floaties where you don't even know it's there. You're just floating in space.
Ooh, yeah.
And
That's
you-
self-care.
If you're out in the summer sun,
Yeah.
and it's just baking down, and you can just choose the amount of water.
Have you been able to transfer it to like copper or salt so it's not
She
chlorine?
couldn't think if it's chlorine. Self-care if it's chlorine
Okay,
on the
if
body.
It's like
We're-
self-care at hotels doesn't work for me. I can't take showers longer than
Oh, you
60
can't?
seconds.
'Cause the
The
chlorine.
chlorine it bothers me.
If
I'm
we're gonna
annoyed.
be
It's
here-
not self-care.
If we're going to be there long term, we're going to convert it to salt.
Yeah.
And it's not that expensive.
Yeah.
So all those things, what did I miss out, Serene? What's self-care?
Exercise should be self-care, but don't count it as your happy care if it's not
Unless
happy
it's not
care
happy,
yet.
count it as self-honoring.
Yeah, self-honoring.
Yeah, that's true. That's a
yeah,
difference.
don't count
And
it yet.
with,
It will come.
Same with prep for your healthy food.
Yeah.
We've always taken time for that.
Yeah. That is self-care for me.
Yeah.
But if you're not there yet, if you're coming from a standard American diet where you're used to sugar and it's really bothering your whole makeup right now, to lose that, it's not self-care yet. It will be.
Yeah,
But you're
it will
saying
be.
self-care doesn't have to bring you pleasure in the moment.
Yeah,
It can be long-term.
No, there's two. Laura
Yeah.
Dole says it has to bring you pleasure in the moment. The kind that helps marriage.
Well, that's the kind I prefer.
But
Yeah.
I believe in self-honoring things.
Yeah,
And they have become self-care for me.
Self-honoring can become self-care. It certainly did for us. And so many of our Trim Health Me listeners are nodding right now. Oh, yes, big time.
Yeah.
But
There's
I
nothing
think it
more
has to
enjoyable
go
than
beyond
me
it.
than taking 1 hour
Yeah.
and having, and it's not that I'm exercising that whole time because I'm doing a slow warm up to like the most bath music ever. And, but I've got my worship music on. It's slow and bathy. And it's just, it's an open window gym and it's my self-care. It's just the most enjoyable thing. There could be nothing more I'd enjoy doing.
No, and you are ferocious about that
Ferocious
time.
about
And
protecting
anyone who
that
wants
time.
to do this with Serene on our Tribe Healthy YouTube, she has her workouts. I have mine.
And there's different music on it though. They made me
Yeah.
put normal music, but
Well,
my
anyone
music
can do
is
it
the
to their
most.
own music.
Yeah, you just put your own music in.
What did I miss with self-care though? I want to be thorough, so everyone starts incorporating more of it. Did I miss anything?
Oh, it could be like
Funny movies. We already said that, but that's huge.
it's huge. Like the hallmarks that I do
don't
with my
like-
girls.
oh, yeah,
Those
that's
aren't funny.
self-care
That's
for you.
self-care for
No,
me.
that's fine.
It's occasional.
If I watch
They're
a
upsetting
mystery,
for
that's
me.
self-care.
No, the
Yeah,
reason why I
me
like
too.
them is because there's no brain thought. It's
Yeah.
the same
It's
movie.
the same
It's the
movie.
pumpkin patch. The guy comes back and he and
you
like
love it.
they have to prepare the festival
And
together.
she can't believe
JD's
somebody this great could love her.
Oh yeah, and then the big decision at the end because she's a feminist and she's like, well, I can't love you because I have my work and
And
I'm
why
going to
is
go
he
back to
great?
Chicago and all that
Why
stuff.
is he great? Because he obviously has a gym membership and he does the jazzerciser to get that just right. I can do it. I don't.
Oh, do it.
No, I'm gonna start. I want to get a job, jazzerciser.
I
Well,
don't
all you have to
like
do is
those
get a
kind
lot of bubble
hallmarks.
gum and do it.
I like. They're a different little breed that I like.
But off hallmarks. Now I want to talk about what we consider self-care, but sometimes is self-harm, and I want to list some of these things. All right, we've already decided. Occasionally, on occasion, hey, I do it. I have an off-plan meal. It's vitamin P. It's pleasure. It's absolutely self-care. I'm going to go to that restaurant. It's a special occasion. I'm going to have that tiramisu. That is self-care to me. Now, if I'm doing it several nights a week, it's not self-care, Pearl.
No.
Jolly well self-harm.
Yeah.
I'm raising my blood sugar. I'm lowering my insulin.
late
I'm losing
nights.
muscle mass.
Late nights can be self-care and it can be self-harm.
Yeah,
Because
let's talk about
sometimes
that.
I was so into health that I wouldn't allow myself to relax enough to stay up into the 11s and 12s or onesies with husband
On a
or with
weekend.
friends or when you're doing a special trip away. Because in my head, I'm like, ooh, you're turning on your cortisol and you're going to...
Yeah.
And all of the knowledge
Stressing.
was in my head, stressing me out. But it would have been healthier for me to just stay up and make memories, right? So
Yeah.
self-care can be sometimes allowing yourself to but if you're 3 nights a week or more staying up beyond what you should be, that's self-harm.
Yeah, late nights can definitely be self-harm. And they feel like self-care. Some things feel like self-care when they're self-harm. So I think that really, that's what I wanted
Sleep
to talk
is
about
huge.
today. It can be like, this is my time. Yes, we all need time when the kids go to bed. We do. I get it. We can take some time. But if it's to that 12, 1 o'clock thing, and then, we're getting up into the day, it is messing with our hormones. It is messing with our blood sugar. You are losing muscle mass. You
Yes, you
can't
are.
you can't build muscle. You
Yeah.
can't keep your muscle doing that.
Yes.
And so I do think, and you're doing mindless snacking at that time because
Yes.
you're up, so you got to eat.
And can we talk about that nighttime, the children are finally in bed, like maybe we've got to get into the ice cream. Maybe there's different things we can explore, like that shower for me with the podcast. That's my ice cream alone time. That's what that is. And maybe for you, it's going to be the bath and the novel. Doesn't have to be the
And they
ice cream
also-
that makes
yes,
you
it's
feel that
true.
pleasure.
And the bath and the novel puts you into that such a parasympathetic state.
And if you want to eat, like I really enjoy my. That's
That's
so not
weird.
self-care. My I forget the brand name, but it's my special casein protein that helps
Yeah.
my muscles throughout the night. But it allows me to go to bed not hangry.
Yeah.
And I have that after my my shower podcast.
You gone back to that because you said you were just eating cottage cheese.
Yeah,
now.
it was too much. I'm too full for the cottage cheese, and it was
so
too
what
much
is it
to
called?
make
Mayocan? What is it called?
It's yeah, but then the brand name I think is some pure native. I can't remember. I'll have to. I can't retell them because we'll be gone.
Don't know. Sorry, people.
But it's one of the most
Just
pure
blank.
ones out there. But
it's
I
casein,
really,
and you mix it with what? Water.
yeah, but and then a little bit maybe of almond milk or a little bit of one of those
Sweetened with
coconut
stevia.
creamers. That little bit, 1.5 grams of that one, like the little
Yeah.
healthy ones. And no, it's already sweetened with monk fruit. But it just allows me to not have that hangriness, and I enjoy it. And it's just that nighttime
Pass that to
thing.
me. I might try it too.
Yeah.
And it fuels your muscles during the night.
Yeah, the study upon study about how actually muscle synthesis throughout the
so
night.
we all want. I think we seek that self-care or I don't even know if it's self-care at night. It's self-soothing because the days are tough for many of us, right? So we want to self-soothe at night. And I think we just have to find smart ways of doing it that are still so soothing and so caring, but that don't harm ourselves in the process.
Right. Can you think of any, Dan, that would be self-harming? You know, what
The
people
3
think.
W's.
Yeah, the 3
Yeah.
W's, okay, but
Yeah, but for our listener, you know, demographic and
That could be harming.
yeah.
yeah, that it look like self-care.
You know, no, I can say that something helpful is to build in. Like I ride a motorcycle everywhere, and so it's just forced. It's like built in.
yeah.
I can't take phone calls.
Yeah, that's
So
great.
true.
I'm in state. Yeah, I can listen
Yeah.
to music, but you're really when you
Yeah.
ride a motorcycle, you take in more information. There's more
Yeah.
data points because your life really depends on it.
Yeah.
So you drive for others in a way you haven't before.
Yeah.
You're looking for a squirrel. You're looking
Yeah.
for things,
Yeah.
anything.
And it's that conquering thing too, isn't it? Our brother
Yeah.
Steve is motorbike, and
Yeah.
it definitely is a self-care. He plans his trips around it. But you know, you said something, and I thought about
And I
it.
thought one too.
It's
What you're
screen
saying.
time.
Oh,
Screen time can be
Yeah.
self-care, but it can be self-harm.
because it can get you all emotionally riled up.
I don't.
But it's bad for you. But to
Yeah,
continue with it,
that
we all
light.
need screen time. We got to do it, yes, and we can relax and
Do
get
we
a little
need
bit
it?
done.
Why do we need it?
Well, I like to order off of Amazon.
Yeah, I
It's
love
fun.
to- I love
Look
to
at the
scroll.
vitamins,
That's
to
self-care.
find my goji berries.
I
It's
love to
self-care.
learn. I love to watch funny videos of babies laughing. It can
Oh, I
be,
love
it
the
can
babies
be self-care,
laughing.
but it can also be self-harm. What happens when it's self-harm? We've spent too long on it.
Yeah.
The light is bad for our eyes.
Yeah.
We're up when we should be asleep.
I think we're playing with crack. I mean, you could smoke a little bit of crack and be fine.
Oh,
No, but look at that phone next to you. We don't want to like throw the whole thing out.
Do we not?
No, I don't.
I
think I
don't
might.
want to.
I
'Cause
don't. It's-
My daughter sends me cute baby videos and it makes my day.
Yeah, I think
How am I going to get my good favorite goji berry brand? I
Yeah.
like a good half an hour on Amazon.
I think let's use it, but
I like
let's not
that.
abuse it. And how we can abuse it is it's
Oh.
1 in the morning and we've been 2 hours and we haven't looked up and we haven't moved our body and we're
Yeah.
just should be in bed and the blue light is in our eyes
Yes.
or we're on social media, we're getting riled up.
Yes, we're getting mad.
Yeah.
And then another thing, when he said, I can't remember what he said, but it made me think of the self-care that we think is care, but it's actually harming, is when we're like, oh, I'm going to treat myself tonight. I'm not going to go home and make dinner. I'm just going to drive through the drive-through.
Ooh, yes.
Or it's pizza night
But could that be self-care?
once or
Yes, it
twice.
could,
yes,
Danny.
yes,
Yeah.
but when it's happening too often, and if it's twice
When
a
it's
week
your
pizza
routine.
night because you're just going to deliver because I want to care for myself and not cook again.
Yeah. Yep, self-harm. It is. Let's call
Long
it what
term.
it is, people.
So I think we're
When it's
establishing
regular.
then that like if it's a short-term gain but
Yeah.
a long-term loss,
Yeah.
it's ultimately disqualifies for
Yeah.
self-care.
Yeah. But if it's that nice treat and you're all going out for pizza as a family,
Yeah.
okay, great.
Brilliant, especially if you're like cooking that dinner would have crossed you over into Cinderella scrubbing the floor, and you would
Yeah.
be that woman that was just, woe is me, my life,
Sadness.
I'm the servant of all, and you know, I'm the servant of all.
You said it like it's an old favorite song.
Learn to be the servant of all.
Yeah, I've been in that place though, where you just feel like you're just ticking every box of the next thing to do for the household.
I feel like as a male, like I never even question that I'm everyone's slave. Like
Yeah.
I'm just accustomed to it. Like I've never even
No, I
thought
never-
once like it's been a day.
You never thought that?
No, I've thought that, but not for like like my slave work.
No,
I'm just like, I'm a slave.
I'm just kind of having
Acceptance.
fun, Danny, but I have been to the point where I didn't know how miserable it was making me for my family. I wasn't thinking consciously, I'm their slave. No, but my facial expressions and my shallow breathing and everything was telling everybody else I'm their slave.
Yeah,
You let that huff.
you can get into slave martyr,
Yes.
Mrs. Martyr, what I call myself, Mrs. Martyr, and it becomes your identity.
It's a certain expression that goes along with it.
And you're not
a
doing
long
good
face.
for
And
yourself or
you
anyone
almost,
else. Oh, you
Give a little proudful
You're
giggle
proud
at the
of
other
it.
people that have time to read 2 pages.
Must be nice.
Of a novel.
Must be
Yeah.
nice to read read a novel. I haven't
Mom,
allowed
come
myself
here,
that
come
for
here,
3
look
years.
at this funny little baby. Oh, I don't have time for that.
I must have had a scowl on my face one night because my daughter, who knows how to completely fix me, came up and she put her arm around me and she waited for me to like look up and make eye contact, and she goes, "It's been a day." And I was just like, it has. Like, it just hit me like right in the heart.
She was just trying to say it for you.
She like, I didn't know, like it was like thing was stacking upon the
Yeah.
other kids. Like, she's really, this one in particular, she's very
Is she
in tune.
Is this Scarlett or is this
She's
Ainsley?
very Scarlett.
Yeah.
She's very in tune that the other siblings
Yeah.
have not thought that daddy's a human being.
Aw.
She's always the one going, no one can take all of y'all being this way right now. Like, she's the one to sort of like make sure she's not contributing to the breakdown of the room exploding.
Yeah.
And then she'll come up like afterwards and like slow. She's so gentle and quiet and will just like whisper like, "Everything good, Dad?" And I'm just like, no. And I don't even know it that I'm having big yin emotions. Like I'm thinking I'm yang and I'm just mad today. I'm mad about stuff. And really like Scarlett like pulls out that feminine side that like, oh no, this is much. This is a lot.
See that's what an empowered, happy wife has emotional room to do. Kind of be that Scarlett personality.
100%.
Because she's a little full. So,
Yeah.
but if she's empty as you,
Yeah, she'd have nothing.
yeah.
No, but that actually is it's an example of what totally wins a man over. You know,
so true,
like
Danny.
like if Lisa comes headbutting, it just exacerbates everything.
Yeah.
If she's thinking I got to stand up and put him in his place, that is literally opposite of what's going to happen. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not going to receive that, and it's not because I'm Mr.
No, it's
tough,
the wiring of
arrogant
men.
male. It's male.
Yeah.
It's yang. That's how
Yeah.
yang is. Like if you want to overcome a man, you want to control a man, you want to dominate a man in a good way. You want to like have your way and have him hear you and have him bow at your feet. That gentle, quiet, almost not direct, but just like, oh, by the way, if you're that softness, like all of a man's like defensiveness and funk just
No, it's so
instantly
true. And she
blows
talks
away.
about it in that book, but she also talks about, don't hear me wrong, you can have a big personality. I'm not
100%.
talking that you should be a little quiet doormat. She's like, your guy fell in love with you. If you're expressive, if you're
yeah.
big, you be yourself,
Right.
you know? But sometimes when we're in a relationship,
But you can be big and expressive without being
combative.
And there's a gentle spirit
Yeah.
that is different than a gentle personality.
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly.
And, you know, like I think a lot of women think men, especially with more like alpha type men who are intense, aggressive, I tend to use a lot of words to keep going, you know what I mean? To express what I'm trying to say. And the temptation, I think, for a woman could be, I need to rise up and meet that with like energy.
Mm-hmm.
And it's actually not the way at all. If you're trying to overcome that and shift this man's ways, it's not with headbutting.
And this is what the book is all about.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. And, you know, you might be listening and thinking, oh my goodness, that book is like the depowering of woman. Just unless you read the book, you wouldn't really get the right. What we're saying probably is not conveying actually what she talks about, which is very scientific too, like you were saying, Danny. But it's not like, hey, sit there and take someone's abuse. It's the opposite.
Yeah, it's the opposite.
It's actually the opposite
In fact,
of that.
she also
empowering
talks about
yourself.
how to express the things you love and the things you want and you think.
And the things you need and require in your relationship. It's getting what you need.
But getting it without nagging.
Yeah.
But getting it by being happy and just saying it out there without nagging and hinting in that.
No hinting.
Yeah.
Yeah, please don't hint to us.
Yeah, just say what you would love and leave it.
I will let you suffer in your hints for years. I won't get it. I won't know what you need.
Yeah.
You
I
need
used to be so passive aggressive about my hinting. Oh my goodness. And my what's wrong? Are you okay? I'm fine.
She said this story, and I have to say it. She said this story about, I think it was somebody, it was her, I don't know, can't remember. And when she would come home from groceries, she would be muttering the whole way in, I've just gone and gotten all the groceries and now nobody will come. You can see me. I'm about to drop the bags and I'm carrying them and they're too heavy for me. And you're just sitting down and reading the newspaper. And, blah, 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 blah. And the husband did not even lower the newspaper to even turn and look at her.
Because she's told him nothing.
Because it's just nag. It's like unhappy woman has come home. Why do I want to go near her, right?
Yeah,
But then
it's
she decided to
repellent.
change. And so she decided to call and say, hey, I had
I
a
would
great day.
love
I'm
some
just
help with the
almost home with the groceries. Love some help when I get home. He was
course.
waiting by the car. And now
course.
he's like, and they had such an enjoyable time bringing it in together because
Yes.
Mrs. Happy was home that now he's like,
Yes.
hey, would you call me every time when you're
Yeah.
like at the
You
corner?
trained him.
What it is about emotional safety for each partner.
Right.
Really.
Yeah.
Many men, and this is true, but women, we're not talking about an abused wife here that needs to get out. Okay,
course.
sure, we know that that's
course.
happening. We're not talking about
We're
that.
talking
We're just talking about a good man.
that are wired to be
Many men, and I
what
don't
we
know
think
why
is crazy, but that's
this
just
turned
them.
into a whole Laura Dole book show, but it's kind of huge. Many men do not feel, talking about women who do not feel emotionally safe. Many men do not feel emotionally safe in their own home.
No, they don't.
Because and then
100%.
they stop expressing themselves and they clam up. And she talks about how to get your guy actually expressing himself again. It's scientific. It's pretty cool. We'll do
Yeah.
another potty, but we're 52 minutes in. Hopefully we can get Laura Dole on here.
Yeah.
See ya.